and welcome back to the Relationship Circle podcast. I'm your host, Beck Thompson, and this podcast is all about showing you how to stop running in circles, ditch those dating games, and let your inner compass lead the way. Today, we've got on the podcast Mark Rosenfeld. Welcome, Mark.
Inner compass, I like that. I like that a lot. Thanks for having me, Beck. It's great to be here.
So excited to have
all the
you.
way from New York today, and you're in Sydney, Melbourne.
I'm in Sydney, down the south
coast. You're
in
Sydney.
Well, I'm down the south coast, New South Wales. So originally from Sydney, yeah.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's cool to have another Aussie on and a male dating coach. You guys always bring different perspectives, being an actual man that I don't have. So I can't wait to dig into it. So let me introduce you first so that everyone knows how amazing you are. So Mark is an author, husband, father, keynote speaker, former vet, this shocked me guys, former male stripper, and Australia's most sought after dating and relationship coach for women. His passion is in helping his clients find enjoyment and growth in the dating process and support them to heal the relational trauma that's held them back from love. He's been featured on Ticker TV, news.com.au, Style Magazine, Thought Catalogue, Elite Daily, the Good Men Project, so many, and the radio across Australia and the world, and his online video content attracting more than, what does that say, 70 million views? That number's too big for me. He's also recently dated online as a woman for 350 days to understand what women want to go through and ensure his clients have an easy system to meet Mr. Right. He also has a cat.
I have a cat. Thanks for adding that at the end. I appreciate that.
It's so funny because I do all my sessions online and so many of my clients have cats that walk past the computer.
Yep.
And so many of them have iPads and the new iPads where they like zoom in on the like thing that's taking the focus. So it's quite often it goes to this.
It's just taking it.
Yeah. And I had this couple the other day and they were talking and it was quite a serious conversation, I think about something to do with sex. And then this cat came in the corner of the video and then the cat's eyes and the camera zoomed in on the cat. I just lost it. I was like, I can't keep the straight face anymore.
I don't know about you. I find that Zoom auto feature, extremely dysregulating.
I hate it.
As in, it's moving in and out. You feel like you're on a boat and you're floating around. I don't know why anyone uses it, to be honest.
It's true. And I've got this couple where it always zooms in on him, like, and even when he's not talking, and it would just, and I'm like, oh, do you want to tell me your opinion? Like, what? Why does it keep zooming in on you?
The woman's like, what the hell? Why is this whole system against me? I will say this though, if we all had boundaries as bad as we have with our cats, it's no wonder we struggle in relationships.
That's hilarious.
Do not project your boundary systems you use on your animals into your male or female relationships because it will not go well for you.
Take note of that. It's going to be the best advice of this podcast.
That's the highlight of today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. That's great.
Yeah, we're done. Take note, everyone. So you've done like so much work with women, and so I'd love to get your perspective on like, what do you think is the biggest block or blocks that are holding women back in dating?
So I thought a lot about this question, and really the biggest thing is something that I see talked about kind of in deeper trauma circles. And the more I do this work, the more I see how relational work, even dating work, it's really just trauma work at the end of the day. It's us trying to figure out the unconscious stuff that was buried somewhere, where it is and how it's holding us back in the form of beliefs or trapped emotions or something like that. So I could say, it's limiting beliefs about not being able to meet men, or it's not experiencing a healthy kind of relationship or being familiar with it. And all of those things are true. If I had to boil it down, though, I would say it comes down to a disconnect between conscious and unconscious. And what I mean by that is, as we grow up and as we feel unheard, or as we have to handle or be resilient through a difficult parent-child relationship or seeing something go wrong with our parents, inevitably there are things we have to bury and there's things we aren't able to process. It could even be medical stuff that you couldn't feel through. It could be isolation stuff, loneliness stuff, but whatever it is, it often has to get compartmentalized and put away, kind of like putting dirty clothes in a cupboard. And for a lot of us, that cupboard gets so full of dirty clothes that it starts to stink out the whole house. And it's bursting out, and occasionally it overflows and we have a meltdown, and then we got to put all the clothes back in. But that disconnect, it causes us to lose connection to ourselves. And really the clients that struggle the most in their relationships long term tend to be those that are least connected to themselves, which makes sense when you think about it. Oh, I'm not super connected to myself, so I'm not able to connect to someone on the outside. some of the symptoms, or I guess results of this, is, hey, I'm not able to have the people or the men connect to me in the way I want. Or maybe I am connecting to men, but I'm ending up in relationships with love bombers or gaslighters or narcissists or people that take advantage of me. And when we break it down, what we find is in a lot of those situations, the client has essentially ignored their intuition at some point, or not being able to be aware of their intuition. And usually that is because intuition comes from a good connection between head and heart, between unconscious and conscious and unconscious. So the more stuff that is buried that hasn't been worked through, the higher likelihood it is that intuition gets buried along with it. And then we have all these surface problems like, I'm not meeting any men, I'm not connecting with anyone, I'm not able to find someone really good, be attracted to me, or attract someone good, or vice versa. So if I had to boil it down, it's that disconnect.
Yeah, okay. And do people normally come to you with this like external problem of like, there's no good guys out there, or like I'm only attracted to
100%.
available men? Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that answer I just gave. Everyone goes, well, I don't have that. And yeah, I still say I don't have that, and I know I still do. I still work on this in therapy with coaches, my own disconnects. And even just recently, I discovered a disconnect I had within myself, with my own father, with my own mother, with my upbringing and where I'd buried emotions, how that now affects my conflict in my marriage, and how I do conflict and how I shy away from conflict, and then how I bury certain emotions more than other certain emotions. So as you go through dating, as you go through relationships, as you go through marriage, more and more of this will come up along the way. So it's not a one and done thing, but you are absolutely correct in that it's not the presenting problem. No one comes to me and says, I'm disconnected from my unconscious mind.
That would be great. Please come forward, wonderful. Clients, if you have.
You're welcome to say that. We'll absolutely welcome it. But no, it's, hey, I'm not getting the people I want on apps vibing with me. Hey, every time I go on a first date with someone good, I'm only getting calls back from the ones that I'm not into. Yeah, it's, hey, I get 3 months into a relationship and a guy disappears. Those are the symptoms. The root cause is a deeper aspect.
Yeah, I think you brought up something super important in that, like, you're still working through this stuff, as am I. And like quite often people, I think, get this sense that they have to be healed or like fully ready before they start dating. And I'm constantly saying the work happens in relation with another human. So like you can think you've done everything and then things are going to come up. That's the point of relationships, right?
It doesn't end, and that's not meant to be a defeating statement. I just think of it like exercise. It's like if you stop going to the gym, you can't just go to the gym for a while and then be like, cool, I've done that for life, great. It's the same in the emotional realm. More stuff will come up, and it's just never-ending work. And you can opt out of that work the same way you can opt out of going to the gym. There are consequences either way. It's that you can choose the pain of, not going to the gym and being unhealthy, or you can choose the pain of going to the gym, and that really sucks, but then you're healthier. And it's kind of the same with relationships. Choose your discomfort, choose the ongoing work, or choose to be single or not, or kind of keep doing what you're doing. It's both choices suck, but that's okay. That's sometimes in life, that's essentially what we've got. Hey, which suck do you want?
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. Yeah.
Then you can mentally prepare for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a client the other day, and he's quite young. He's like 20, 22. He listens. So sorry if I got this wrong. Who said to me when I said, the work is for life. And he's like, oh, that sounds exhausting. And I was like, it's funny because he's like, you don't have that perspective. And I was like, I don't, because I think I get excited when I find new stuff I have to work on. I don't love it when I'm in the middle of the work, but like, when I get triggered and I can step away from the trigger and I go, oh, that's the work that I still need to do. Like me and my husband have a fight, and we still do. Like we've been together like a long time, and I still go like, oh my God, why is this happening? And then I go, oh, actually, there's the work that I still need to do.
And you keep bringing up each other's stuff as time goes on. Mm-hmm. I think where this area is a little bit harder is the work can fall deeper. If you are maybe not succeeding in some sort of academic pursuit, obviously you could also take that very personally, but it doesn't quite have the same echo as to a pain of feeling unloved by our parents, which is our caregivers. And dating and relationships are more likely to echo feeling unloved deeply somewhere in our past than is failing an exam. Of course, some parents are still super focused on academia and shame us for that, but this is the area where sometimes the work, and you don't get to choose your upbringing. So it is true that we all start in different places with this, and you've got to accept your own journey with that. Sometimes this work can feel harder because what you're working through is pretty deep. It can go back to how you were brought up. It can go back to what you buried. And so I do totally empathize with people who are new to the work, and it feels like a mountain looking at it. I would just say, take it one day at a time. You don't have to be perfect. You never will be. You don't have to be perfect to get a date, to get a boyfriend, to keep a boyfriend, to have a girlfriend, any of that stuff. Accepting that there is a level of ongoing work, I think, is just a good mindset to be in. And that way you're going to be open to improvement. Same with men, or to all the guys listening, if you have any guys, all of us need to be open to that level of improvement, because you can get away in some cases if you've had a good upbringing with not doing much work. But for most of us that are in relational work, most of us listening to this podcast as well, we want to go from we're here because we've had pain, we've had bad relationships, and we want to have exceptional relationships. We don't want to sit in the middle and just kind of mosey along in that middle ground. And so from bad to great, from bad to exceptional, there is going to be slow, steady work there.
Yeah, yeah. And when people start this work and I don't know, let's say it gets too much, they feel like the heat is on too much. What do you suggest so that they don't fully fall out of it and never come back? How do they get
slow down?
Yeah.
Slow down would be the first thing. There's a lot of clients that come to me that are, I need to get this done. It's a box to check. It's a things to tick off. And sometimes we look at getting a husband or a girlfriend that way. It's like, I got to check this box off. And we're sort of projecting forward to the future, waiting till there. I've done that thing. And if we focus too much on the destination instead of the journey, not only will we not enjoy the journey, but actually the destination will get away from us because we're not really in the journey on it. So I would say slow it down. Be kind to yourself, and you've really got to acknowledge your own journey. I get so many women that come to me that say, well, Mark, my friend, she's got a husband, or my friends have all got boyfriends, and they had worse shit that happened to them than me. Like one of my friends had got trauma, major trauma when she was young. She got a husband. I didn't have any of that, but I'm here, the single one. And it becomes this comparison thing that's like, oh, well, your trauma beats mine, but you're also beating me in the dating results, quote unquote. So therefore I'm shit and I'm worse than you. And I have to say to these clients, it's not like that, because you are, in fact, most of the women that say that, most of the clients that I get, they are blind to how tough they had it. They don't realize that, sure, maybe you weren't assaulted like that woman, but you don't realize how emotionally unavailable your parents were. Yes, they provided food and housing and all the ticked boxes stuff, but they were absent in little ways. And your friend who got assaulted, yeah, her parents really sucked in a different way, but she had this aunt that you don't even know about that had this amazing effect on her life and said one thing that she always remembers. So she's on a different trajectory and you're on yours. So you cannot, even if you have a twin sister, you can't compare, let alone a friend who had different parents. Your journey is different, and you've got to sort of say, this is my journey. I'm on it wherever I'm at. If I'm 100 meters past the start line, 100 meters behind it, somewhere in the middle, it's like, this is my journey, slow and steady. There are no guarantees in life. Just put one foot in front of the other and make a sustainable process of it.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's just a distraction, hey? Like when you look at other people, and their journeys, it's a distraction from your path, and
it's a denial of your path, I would add.
For sure.
You're saying I should be there because she had this happen and she's achieved this, so I should be there. Anytime we should on ourselves, we're denying our own reality.
Yeah.
Right. So never should compared to a friend. You've just got to go, this is my journey. I did the best I knew how at the time with what I was taught. I'm still doing the best I know how to do at the time. And as your awareness improves, that growth will be exponential.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think what I hear from a lot of women is that because there's a lot of coaches out there now, there's a lot of people advertising what they do and they can get you quick results. And if you only do this and it's my 3-step system, blah, blah, blah. And so it's hard for people to think, well, I've got to actually do the work and sit in it and sit in the pain, and it's uncomfortable. And
yeah, I struggle with this as a business owner because
me too.
Marketing is always about quickest results for the client in the shortest amount of time. Who doesn't love that? Oh yeah, I'd rather get, for example, weight loss pill that's magic and pay $10,000 for it than pay $1 for 10,000 gym sessions and have to do that. Of course, why would you not choose the pill? So as a business owner, this has been a bit of a challenge for me because marketing people do, I could get a quick result and really get everything. And it's very results focused. It's now we're in a very quick reward culture. Mm-hmm. And the truth is slow and steady wins most races in life, including this one, whether it's health or relationships or trauma work. but doesn't sound very sexy
Yeah.
when you say it. So kind of, I would just really encourage people that even if your journey is not what the marketing says it should be, quote unquote, the fact that you're on it, you should be so proud of yourself and just take it one step in front of the other.
Yeah, 100%. I really want to jump to the dating, the dating as a woman, because as soon as I read the bio, I was like, I've got to know more about this. And I still remember following you on social media, watching this, and I was like, I even started to like think, oh, I'm going to do this myself. And then I got as far as creating a profile, and I was like, oh, this is so hard. So please tell me, everyone, you're all about it.
I went on a bender. I reached a point where I said, you know what? I can't take one more client telling me, Mark, you don't know what it's like for me. I said, fuck it. I'm going to learn what it's like for you. And I did it in the only way I knew how. I did an entire year, almost consecutive, Beck. I did about 350 days in a row.
Wow.
Including Sundays. So I was pretty dedicated to this. I said, I'm going to find a system. I'm going to beat dating apps. Okay. I'm not going to create an AI or anything. I'm going to do it manually. I'm going to understand every intricacy. I'm going to understand what these women are experiencing, what they're feeling, how to attract the best guys. I'm going to do it over and over and over again. I'm going to track everything I got dozens of spreadsheets, Beck, where I tracked everything. And it was phenomenal. It was extremely insightful. I limited myself to 20 minutes every day, never more than 20 minutes a day. And I was really happy with the results. I was essentially able to test different profiles, test different messaging styles, test different opening messages, test different bios, test different apps, test different everythings. And we went from, I would say, about 10 to 12 quality dates a month. And then I tested a few other things, didn't work as well. And now we're getting pretty consistently 16 to up to 20 quality compatible dates a month. That is more than any client can ever handle. So I'm super, super pleased with that. We've also got it down into a system where the clients don't really have to do any messaging. They don't really have to do any swiping. Obviously, there's a little bit because it's not fully automated, but you're not sitting there thinking of what to write. You don't have to be in a good mood. You're not going to get overwhelmed. You're not going to feel guilty for the people you're rejecting. It's just kind of plug and play. Do this, send this, receive the date, receive the phone call, and get off the app. It's designed to be gotten rid of, this system.
Amazing.
So I'm really happy with it. Yeah. And the long story short of what I discovered a few things. I'd say the biggest thing is we created a system that essentially niches the guys down. Let's say we go on Hinge, for example. We created a system that basically niches all the hundreds or even thousands of matches that you've got into a question answer that uses beautiful photos. You need great photos and then a specific bio. The guys basically have to answer a question in the bio that's very specifically worded to filter in a guy that meets that compatibility criteria. And it's framed as a little bit of a trick question in that the guys that don't match the criteria will actually want to answer incorrectly. They just won't realize they're doing so. So it filters big volumes of men into a very small set of matches, and then you've got really motivated guys who follow through and call you. That's the short version of it. The nice part is you can put it on dating apps with really big populations, something even like Tinder, which would typically be too overwhelming. There's just too many men, too many matches to sort through. You can apply this and kind of use a volume-based approach. And if you can take 1,000 guys on Tinder and get the best 10, that's phenomenal. Well, this allows you to do that without hundreds of tens of hours of in time investment.
Yeah, wow.
It was cool. Yeah, it was really cool.
So what were your biggest learnings from all of this?
My biggest learnings, good question. Off the top of my head, I would say it's really important to know how to train men how to treat you in an inviting way. And I think it's hard to do both at the same time. So we can tell men women can tell men how to treat them. A lot of them don't have any problems with that, but it doesn't sound very inviting. It comes off a little abrasive. Or we can be, this beautiful feminine light shining, the guys are leaning in, but then they're getting treatment they don't want. So how do you train a man how to treat you? Because that's your power as a woman. You will never have the physical strength to sort of push a man around in most cases. Your power is through moving a man to where you want him using your beautiful energy. He wants you. You're the light. You're the diamond. He asks you questions, right? The first question is, how's your day? Then can I take you on a date? Then can I take you on holiday? And then can I marry you? So guys want stuff from you. And we want to use that to train them. Hey, if you want more of that, here's how you get more of it in an inviting way. So making sure that the women are in the feminine energy while not being submissive and not just taking whatever treatment they get. That was a big one. And the idea of, I think a big one was honestly just having really well thought out scripts that are still inviting so that you can go on, and if you're not feeling in the best mood, you can send that and it still makes you sound good. It still makes you sound very inviting so you can get to the phone call. And the final thing I'd say is the prompt but don't do. So it's okay to prompt a guy to call you because men will want a textathon you and you don't want to end up in a textathon. So it's okay to prompt a guy to call you, but I wouldn't do the calling. It's okay to prompt a guy to lean into you, but don't do the leaning in. It's okay to basically put yourself out there to share what you want. Just don't do it for him. And then the guy, as he invests more, will invest more and it becomes a positive.
So I would love to hear, if you have it, like how do women, like the first point you said, how do they give that feedback in an inviting way? Like what's an example of what they would say to someone? So I had a client the other day, this might be helpful because I had a client the other day that said, a guy said they were having a chat, they were supposed to do a phone date, and then he said like, good morning, sexy. And so she messaged me and she's like, ugh, don't like this. How do I tell him without saying, just call me my name? So I feel like this is a good example of like, how would she give him feedback,
Yeah.
And she did a really good job of being a bit cheeky, but giving it, I mean, he didn't work out, but like.
Yeah, if you were down that far down the funnel, I would say something like, haha, nice try there. You're using third date language on a pre-first date girl.
Cool. This is what she said. It was very similar to what she said. So that, she kept it light, but gave feedback. I'm not really okay with that. I'm not there yet.
I just want to quickly pause the episode here to tell you about my upcoming free Love Unlocked Masterclass. Maybe the reason you haven't found love is because you feel you aren't worthy of love you deserve. And I'm here to tell you that you are, and I want to give you the steps on how you can start loving yourself first to attract that worthy love into your life. In the masterclass, I cover 3 steps straight away, which are uncovering past patterns, understanding emotional needs, and learning how to communicate and set boundaries to amplify your self-worth. Details can be found in the show notes, and I cannot wait to see you there.
Okay, and as long as it's inviting, that's great. I would say, Beck, I haven't had a ton of that because a lot of these problems, the guys that do that, now with the funnel set up, they don't get through that far.
Yeah.
So basically, the guys who answer the question correctly already have a set of values that they wouldn't really say good morning, sexy. So it's very rare we get that.
Yeah.
And then once they've answered that first question, they have 2 more questions and then it moves to the phone call. So it's quite structured. You don't get these random things happening very often. Occasionally you get a guy, if clients are getting 75% of the guys they give their number to should call. So we aim for at least 3/4 should call. But yeah, a lot of those problems, those behavioral problems are actually prevented up the funnel. Let's swipe the right people in and I don't want to say take control of the conversation, but I do have clients steer the conversation more. The guy is investing more, but she's steering. So the guy is doing the work. And if he does the work, if he answers those couple of questions, he then gets a phone call with her. And we don't really have a lot of those misbehaviors from the guys we filtered through. But yeah, if you do get them, that's the way to deal with them. Exactly what you described.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. So you were talking before about like the dating profile and how to have the best pictures and the best, like, what are your suggestions? Because I get this question a lot. Like, what? And I always say, just send me through screenshots of your bio. That's what I say to clients. But like, what are your suggestions? Like, if they don't have a coach, and they're not working with us. Like, how do they know what is a good profile for them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I find some clients can spot it and some not so much when they first come to me. And the pictures are really important. We don't use the bio much anymore for attraction. We use it for filtering. We use that limited word count that we have to get the guys through that match compatibility points. And again, we have to do that in an inviting way, because if you put in that bio, I don't want someone who smokes, it's like no one's going to swipe on you. Or even, make sure you're an honest kind of guy, winky face. Oh, she's been hurt in the past. She's being sarcastic there. I'm not swiping on that. So if you're going to use the bio for filtering, then the photos are your leverage. The photos are the reason he would answer your question. The photos are the reason he would chat to you. The photos are the reason he's going to put in the time to make the phone call when he could be calling any of the 9 other women he swiped that day. So the photos are that initial motivation. So they're really important. So photos, I recommend a couple of professional ones, but not all professional, just a couple. Biggest thing I see with photos is too much jaw tension and not enough natural teeth in the smiles. You want to be looking at the camera for most of them, but not all of them. Have 1 or 2 where you're looking away from the camera. Have 1 photo with friends. I know a lot of coaches say never to do that. I like 1 photo with friends, but make sure you put an arrow on which person is you. Guys love it. No one likes to play Guess Who online. And I will say this. If your friends are significantly objectively better looking than you, I probably wouldn't take a photo with that friend. Unfortunately, it just provides a contrast against you. So you want friends that are sort of in a similar kind of, I guess, similar sphere to you. You know, if your friend's a supermodel, you probably don't want to stand next to her. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. But a big, bright smile, couple of full body, couple of selfies or close-ups, and a couple where you don't know your photo's being taken, or at least it appears that you don't. So they're not posed. They're more natural, flowy photos. The most confident photos, the ones that are the most attractive to emotional available guys, are the ones where you are the most in the moment being emotional yourself. So they're going to be big smiles, almost, yeah, you didn't know the photo was being taken. It's not super posed. Jaw tension is loose. Your cheeks are high. And a mix of, obviously, as I say, close up, not so close up, and maybe even an activity shot in there. I should be able to look at your photos and get I want to hang out with her for an hour. She looks cool. Yeah. If that's what I'm sitting across from on my little lunch date, yeah, man, I'll take that. Good mix. And then that, as I say, 1, maybe 2 professional photos to go, that's how she looks when she really glams up. Yeah, cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so a great variety of them. Tell me if we're like taking dating, like we're not online and we're going like offline to meet people in real life. That still does happen, humans. Like
it does. It does, guys. You are allowed. So much growth in the offline. So much growth.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? I'm really happy that there's more and more events. There's still a massive, and please, if anyone listens to this and they know what exists, there's still a massive gap for women that are like 30 plus that do not want drinking events that are not centered around drinking and partying and sex. They just that's just a massive gap there for that. But yes, it totally exists. Like, where do you, if women are like over the apps and like your filtering system sounds amazing, but let's say they don't do that. They don't want to be online. They don't want an online presence, whatever. That like, what are your tips for like getting out there, meeting people? What should they do?
Yeah, look, I think people can be a little under-resourced with this question. I always say to clients, look, if I gave you $100,000 to meet 10 men by the end of the week, we both know you'd have done it by tomorrow. So what would you do? And it's kind of that thing. It's never a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness. So sometimes you do have to be a little resourceful. And unfortunately, we do live in kind of social environments now where we're not interacting with as wide a variety as people. It's part of our lifestyle. So we do need to be a little more resourceful. I mean, if in doubt, start to think, okay, where do the type of men that I would want to meet, where do they go? And combine that with somewhere where I could still find some level of enjoyment or growth. Now, sometimes those two things are hard to cross over. If the only thing you want to do is, I don't know, sewing or like shopping bag making or something, all right, there's not going to be so many men at most of those events. So you need to possibly look at, all right, how could I enjoy an event that I'm maybe not so used to? Hey, I'm going to go to a polo match. I'm going to talk to 3 strangers there. Hey, I'm going to go speed dating this week. Hey, I'm going to go to a business networking event. You know, hey, I'm going to go to personal development groups or start attending those networking events. Hey, you know what? I'm going to take up table tennis or some sort of new sport. A lot of it is about developing. I found this as a huge, sort of an introvert, but sometimes I wonder if I'm actually or was a shy extrovert. But forcing myself to get out there and just talk to people and have a little I'm going to meet X strangers per day rule, that really helped me the most rather than finding a specific event that nailed it. As I say, I'm all for those things as well. The best thing you can really do, I think, is cultivate good social habits. Talk to people, make eye contact with people on your walks. Obviously, as a woman, you need to be aware of safety. Dog walks if you have a dog. Again, there's resourcefulness that's required here. And there's time, to be honest, Beck. I mean, the nice side of online is you can get a lot of dates, especially using good system in very little time. But if you're going to meet people in person, it's many hours of your week. Most events are 2 or 3 hours, or you go out for a walk. several hours a week. So you have to make that time and say my relational life, my social life is a priority.
Yeah.
And that's why I always encourage clients, have a win that isn't meeting men. Because if your only win is meeting your husband, you're going to feel like every social event is a failure.
Yep.
But if your win is, I spoke to 3 new people, I'm fucking amazing. I'm so proud of myself. Hey, I went and shared a passion of mine with 5 strangers today. Hey, I went and made 3 new male and female friends this week. If you can find wins, or I just open conversations with strangers, you have to find wins in the process. Otherwise, you'll be so focused on the result. It's like going to the gym and look at yourself in the mirror after every session. You're not going to get fit, and you're just going to get more depressed every time you check the mirror.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely done sit-ups and thought, where's my abs, straight away.
Yeah, we do it, right? I've done it. I'm going to do another set. They're going to do that. And then you go up to the mirror, you're like, fuck. A lot of growth, as you know, it's find your goal first.
Yeah. Find
the process that you know will get you there. And then this is the hardest part, you forget the goal. You got to disattach from the goal. And if I want 6-pack abs, I got to start going to the gym and stop looking in the mirror. And as long as I stop looking in the mirror and keep going to the gym, eventually I'll have abs. But the more I obsessively check the mirror, the slower time goes, and the more it's going to feel like I'm not getting anywhere. So find the process that you can stick to that's maybe a little bit fun for you in some way, shape, or form, and keep doing it.
Yeah. I just also love what you said about like just making eye contact, smiling. Like I just say to clients all the time, like, and I did this once, I put this poll on my Facebook years ago that said like, where did you meet your partner? And the amount of results that I got and answers from people were so varied. Like I was out for a dog walk. I ran into them at a service station after a big night out. I met through a friend. We went on a dating app, at a wedding. Like it's just, I think so much of this is that you have to be open to the possibility of meeting someone. And it could be like anything, like when you're trying to bring anything into your life, it doesn't happen always how you think it's going to happen. You don't have control over that. So like be open to that you could meet them on a street, at a bus stop, at a networking event, at your work. Like who knows?
Right. And that's where I would add as well with dating apps, especially with the volume, you can be a little more intentional because you can't meet 1,000 people. But if you have a system where you can meet the best 10, great. Now we got 10 people, but you can't be that specific in real life. Talk to everyone, talk to, as you say, talk to the bus driver, talk to the waitress, talk to everyone, because those social habits, they will pay off in time. But believe you me, they will. So I love that advice.
Yeah. And you forget like how to like interact with humans. I think like so many
you do.
people forget like how to talk to another human. So at least if anything, you're like building your confidence. So when you actually go on those dates that maybe you got from online, you're a different human than you were than when you didn't talk to anyone or didn't smile at anyone.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I remember when I many years ago first started going out and kind of getting first dates is I wasn't very good at them because I just didn't really know how to have a conversation with someone, even if I wasn't into them. It's like, what do we talk about for 3 hours? I used to have little notes in my pocket and I'd have them there as a safety cue if I went to the bathroom, stuff I can say notes.
Yeah.
I was that sort of anxious about it. So that ability to just, hey, I can be curious about this person. Oh, I just met this waitress who's moonlighting as a clown at a circus. That's really cool. Tell me more about that. You get chatting to her and then, another waiter comes along. You realize that's her brother. You get chatting to him and then you realize that his best mate is single and then you end up meeting him. So there's all sorts of different permutations that happen when you start being that social butterfly.
I love this. You just sparked a question in my head. So I want to ask for your advice on this because I have a lot of women say to me that the men that they're dating are not asking them questions and they want to get asked questions. So sometimes they'll be like, I had this woman once who said this guy spoke all about himself for like half an hour and then he said, so are there any other questions you want to ask me about me? And she's like, oh my God.
Oh, that's a doozy. Yeah, that's not fun. I get this complaint both from online and offline. So if it's online and you're not getting asked questions, there's a very specific fix for it. Basically, we do not ask a question until we've been asked one first. And so if you're not getting asked questions initially, it means either your profile isn't shiny, as in your bio isn't shiny enough, your photos aren't shiny enough, or if the guy is asking you questions then stops, it means your texts weren't shiny enough. Basically, it was you weren't standing out. Unfortunately, that's the reality of online.
100%.
If you're not standing out, the questions are kind of the sign that you're doing something well. Oh, can I get your number? Can I meet you? Can I marry you? You know, questions is like, people ask questions when they want more. So it's important when you do get asked a question online that you give a response that it doesn't have to be lengthy, but it should be a response that makes you sound like the most energetically appealing woman of the 10 he's chatting to. Oh, wow. Oh my God. Use 2 feeling words in your response. Use 2 self-disclosures in your response. If your response is good and you, I'm not going to ask you another question either. Why would I? This other woman has given me 2 full sentences, including some feeling words. So she's more interesting than you. Of course, I'm going to message her and stop asking you questions. Now, if you're getting this behavior on a date, or if you're getting this behavior with someone you've already interacted with, it can be a couple of things going on. It could be that you've just attracted someone who's really narcissistic and selfish, which I know that word gets thrown around a lot.
It does.
That's what it sounds like. You know, in that example there, if you don't have someone with the social nous to ask you a question on a date, you just go, okay, well, that wasn't the best date of my life, and you move on from that. You're not going to train a first date person to ask you questions. If you're further along in a relationship, there's an opportunity there for feedback. And often men need specific feedback because we want to know how to please you, but we don't know exactly how. And we get frustrated guessing because we feel like failures when we don't get it right. So as opposed to saying, you know, be more inquisitive, hey, when you asked me that question about XYZ, that felt so nice. I love that. It lit me up for the whole day. Would you maybe be open to asking me questions like that more often? I love that question. When you said that, it was just the best. Could we try it for a day? Would you be open to like ask me an inquisitive question each day? Women get worried about being specific because they fear being needy and controlling. That's your own projection. Okay. The man can decide if you are needy and controlling. That's in the eyes of the receiver, but you don't get to control that. All you can do is put your needs across. And then if a guy says, sorry, babe, I can't ask you a question each day, I don't have any questions to ask you, you either accept him as he is and continue to love him, or you let him go because he's not that interested in helping you in that way. Or I guess option 3, you renegotiate a different way to meet that need. But I do find that clients, Beck, get a little self-conscious about being specific with men. And I get it because it can feel, hey, do this thing this way. But it's more of a, this is what would make me feel alive. And this is what would make me feel amazing. You did it once before. It was so great when you did that. Would you be open to doing that as a habit? And if the guy says yes and he follows through, you've got your need met. If he says no, as I say, you can renegotiate. And then if he says yes and doesn't follow through, you have a different conversation about whether or not he was people pleasing you and what his truth is. But yeah, that's the formula. So if it's online, be shinier. If it's first date, I probably wouldn't bother. It's a lost cause. And then if it's further in a relationship, good opportunity for you to open your heart and be vulnerable with what you need and see how he responds to it.
Yeah, I love that so much because that's often what I say to clients is like, express your needs, tell them what you need, because the response from that gives you so much information. You know, that's how you know how to go forward in the relationship. Like if you hold off for 6 years without telling anyone what you need and you're because you don't want to seem needy or like that you're too much or anything like that, then it's going to be 1, a real shock to the other human. And 2, if they then can't give you what you need because not everyone is capable of giving you what you need, then like you're really far in.
Yeah, 100%. And I would also add to that for the ladies listening, you won't be needy if you respect his autonomy. So that's right. Just add that little bit about your tone should come across that he can object to your need. And usually what we're talking about here is actually wants, not needs. So I should probably frame that up first. Is a lot of times when we're talking about needs and expressing them, we're really talking about something that would help us meet a need. So my need is to have you ask me more questions. No, that's a want. Your need is to feel seen. Your need is to feel loved, and you're receiving that through being asked questions. Now, yeah, that's a perfectly reasonable way to receive it. So by all means, ask for your want. But also leave space, or I should say, and also leave space. If that guy is really uncomfortable asking questions, if that's just it's a weak spot for him. He loves buying you gifts. He loves, I don't know, spending quality time with you, but he struggles to ask questions. Leave room for him to express that. Because if your needs, aka wants, are coming across in a way where he doesn't have the autonomy to say no or to say, babe, I can't do that, well, he's going to people please you, which might feel good for you for a while, but eventually he's going to resent you and eventually he's going to pull away, and that's going to be his way to create space from you because he feels forced to do the thing. So just make sure as you're asking for wants/needs, you go, hey, is that something you would be open to? Is that something you want to do? And you can even say, or is that more something you're doing that might maybe feel like you have to do it, or it kind of feels like an obligation? Because I want to respect your autonomy while I ask for my needs. And if you frame it that way, you'll bring him into the conversation more because he goes, okay, I have some freedom here. I can speak. Cool. I can work with you here. Yeah,
that's so huge. But everyone re-listens to that part because it's very, very, very important.
Very important.
Very important. It's funny. I had a couple the other day, and he is a self-professed people pleaser, and she's like, I want him to speak up more for his needs, but then when he does, she's like, no, I don't like this, And so then he goes back into his shell more, and I see that a lot.
That's really hard for men.
Yeah,
and I think it's one of the things I've been really looking at recently in myself is really being okay disappointing people. Like actually showing up, and let's say it's a boundary of mine, or let's say it's something I can't do, whatever it is. It's like, can I show up and really disappoint someone I care about and be okay with it? And that's kind of the antithesis of people pleasing, right? Is when we people please, we don't want people to be disappointed by us. Unfortunately, the reality is part of setting boundaries and part of being really good within ourselves is learning that we can be in a love relationship where we won't be rejected or abandoned when we disappoint our partner. So in a situation like that man, his work is going to be around speaking up with her and disappointing her, which I'm sure he doesn't like doing. I'm sure he loves his wife or his girlfriend. At the same time, her work is going to be, can I love this man to the same level, or at least make him feel safe when the disappointment that he's giving me is reflecting that of my father? And that's difficult on both sides. So there's important work there for a couple like that.
For sure. This has been amazing. Is there any other magic that you want to add in, any other words of wisdom that you think people need to have?
I would honestly just say run your own race with this stuff and lean into vulnerability and courage. Because if you can do those two things, if you're running your own race, as in I'm not comparing my progress to my girlfriends or my other friends, whatever. Some people are in relationships all their lives because they have a lot of trauma. Some people are single all their lives because they have a lot of trauma. Some people are in and out because they have a lot of trauma. And some people don't know what's going on because they have a lot of little trauma. So really try to run your own race and just say, this is my race. I'm okay where I'm at, and I'm going to keep walking my path. Even if it doesn't match my mum's expectations or my dad's expectations or my friend's expectations, I'm sure there's a story that you have, and you may not be aware of all of it, where there's a lot of things that are anchoring you that you're not realizing when you compare to your friends. So I would say that. And then to finish a conversation I had with a client this morning, if you show up with vulnerability and courage, you can pretty much walk away and throw your hands in the air and be proud of yourself no matter what the result. So if a man rejects you, if you're honestly being courageous and self-validating and a guy really says, you know what, that's not for me, I would be proud of that, because that's polarizing. And even though it stings a little more to get rejected in that way, it's going to remove the wrong people more quickly, bring in the right people who like that. But most importantly, it forces you to be your own source of validation in those moments. So if you ever get rejected for courage and vulnerability, the biggest and best thing you can do is give yourself a pat on the back, because that self-validation will get you through to the good person, the person that will validate you. The universe is going to mirror you. You kind of have to do it first and love yourself for doing that. And then the universe will send in a man who matches that energy.
Oh, that is the quote of the podcast. Thank you for that, Juice. I'm so glad you added that in. That's everything. And
you're welcome.
So huge. So if you didn't listen to any of this, I hope you fast forwarded to the end and heard that magic, because that was everything.
Welcome. I own a cat. That's all we really needed to know, and I have poor boundaries with that cat. Thanks for joining us.
Where can people find you, work with you, be in your orbit?
Yeah, you can check out my website, which is makehimyours.com.au. There's also the .com version you can go to as well. Or you can check out my book, which is Make Him Yours, Beating the Odds of Modern Dating. And I do have a free club where I have a lot of my resources called the Queen's Club. So that's skool.com/Q Club, school.com/Q Club as well.
Perfect. And all of these will be in the show notes. So if you didn't catch any of them, they'll be there. Thank you so much, Mark. It's been such a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you, Beck, for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you got value from this, please don't hesitate to share with a friend so they can get value from this too. And don't forget to hit follow so you don't miss an episode. It's also how I keep this podcast alive.